Oh, what we got? Who we got? Where? What? Oh, okay. Early. I like it. On the phone with us. We'll get back to that in a minute. On the phone with us, live from Milwaukee, it is the one, the only, the king of the hill up there right now, Mr. Gerard Gibert. Gerard, how you doing up there, man?
Dave, Rhino, good morning, guys.
How are things up there? And more to the point, after what happened this weekend, just give us a temperature reading on the overall feel and tone that you're picking up in the city of Milwaukee.
High energy, optimism, gratitude that the former president and soon to be our official nominee is alive and well. I think that kind of sums it up, Dave, what everybody's thinking. I will say that security's everywhere. Secret Service, police officers. In fact, I don't think there are obviously enough police officers on the Milwaukee Police Department force. So I actually saw some folks from Oregon, police officers from Oregon last night at the welcome event we had at the venue there at the park, not far from the hotel. I'm staying downtown where half of the Mississippi delegation is staying at the Homewood Suites. It's a few blocks from the arena, the Fiserv Arena, and there are Secret Service folks around this building, which I suspect is the case at all the hotels housing the delegates. So heightened security, to say the least.
And that's not really surprising, even though it was surprising yesterday when the Secret Service made mention in a press conference that they weren't going to increase the security that they already had planned. But I saw a report a little while ago that they decided this morning, yeah, we're going to increase security a little bit. And I think they have to at this point, if for no other reason, just for the optics, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I do, and I've never attended a convention, so I don't have any baseline to compare it to. But it just feels like there's lots of folks. I mean, and even walking through downtown between the venues and the meeting spots, even though we've only been here 24 hours, there are police stationed like at the corners, at the intersections. And I don't know if that's normal. I suspect that's because that's going on. A lot of folks walking that are visitors from out of town and just concerns about that. So all that makes sense. And, of course, to get in the welcome event last night, honestly, the screening we went through and before you even go through the standard metal detectors and whatever those other devices they call them these days that you walk through, it was as comprehensive, maybe is one way to put it. Folks were not allowed to carry in. A guy in front of me had a lighter and a cigar cutter, and they took that, not getting that back. A kid that was with somebody, a child, had like a little stuffed toy, and they took that. Wouldn't give it back. So weird stuff going on, no doubt. And I don't know if that's normal or if it's because of the situation with the attempt on President Trump's life, but I'm not concerned. I mean, I'm vigilant. I'm looking around, as we all are, but I feel good about everything. And speaking to our delegation, attended a breakfast this morning hosted by our senators, Cindy Hyde-Smith and Roger Wicker, and it was well attended, and everybody's upbeat. You probably saw that Mr. Trump announced within the last hour his intention to declare who his running mate's going to be, so we're all on pins and needles on that. I can tell you that they moved up our time to be at the venue today by about 30 minutes, and I wonder if it's got something to do with that.
Well, I just saw a report from Brett Baer of Fox that said the term that was used was a little later today. Which,
okay.
That's a wide open window, I'll be the first to admit, but it makes it seem like it's going to be sooner rather than later. But I do love this other part of the comment from Bayer. He said, yes, I'm quoting here, yes, we're going to get the VP today, and he said there's other things to come. I don't know what that means.
Oh, interesting. Also saw a report that Mr. Trump, his quote, he said he had a humdinger of a speech lined up for Thursday, but that he's totally changed it given the events that occurred over the weekend. So I'm not sure what that means exactly, but evidently he decided to I guess change the message, and it would make sense given what he just experienced.
Well, the messaging that we have heard from his campaign and other people is that he just completely rewrote the speech from scratch to focus more on unity and everybody coming together as a country.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Gerard, because you're up there and you're in the middle of all this. What does that mean exactly, do you think?
I got to tell you, Dave, that same thought crossed my mind. We seem so polarized in this country, and the rhetoric is so strong, and it's obviously on both sides. But none of that, of course, is ever an excuse for violence, ever. It's unfortunate that some people can't just handle the fact that these are just mere words, nothing more, nothing less, and they take it to the next level, and that is sad that should happen in this country. I don't know. What I'd like to see us return to is a discourse on policy. Can we just go back to debating policy? And ironically, that's exactly what Mr. Trump was doing at the point the bullet struck his ear. If you recall, he had these big charts, it looked like on a big easel to his side, that showed the number of immigrants that have crossed over the border since he was in office all the way through the Biden years. And, of course, it just goes off the chart, as they say, from left to right. And so that's a policy issue, using data to support a policy. That's what we got to get back to, I believe, instead of all these personal attacks. Sebastian Gorka, you may remember, he served in the Trump administration. He wrote an article, I think it was published on Breitbart, where he said this was bound to happen, and he cited Maxine Waters, calling for violence, and Kamala Harris setting up a GoFundMe for the rioters during the BLM protest in the wake of the George Floyd incident, and even the president himself saying Mr. Trump has a target on him and that kind of stuff. That really serves no purpose, in my view. I'd like to see us talk about immigration and economic policy and tax policy and inflation and the stuff that people are experiencing in their lives that they're looking for leadership to address.
Well, the problem is we have drifted off into personality politics. It's all about identity politics. And you're right. We need to get back to talking about the issues. And we've talked about it before here on the show. Back, say, in the 80s, we'll go back that far, they would get in there inside the chambers of the House and the Senate, and they would scrap, and they would go after each other. And then as soon as the gavel hit and the session was adjourned for the day, they'd all gather together from both sides and take their families out and go eat and have a nice time. We've lost that completely.
Yeah, totally. And it's sad. And so you think through that, Dave, just kind of as we have evolved here, where there's just such contempt, such disdain for the people on the other side, and that manifests itself in all this hateful rhetoric. I just don't see any of those families, like you explained, going out to dinner after they have these contentious debates on the floor, which were about policy, honestly.
Yes.
We just don't seem to do that anymore.
Well, it's all personal now. Everything is personal. But I think part of that is because we don't, on both sides, once again, we don't give credit where it's due, and sometimes it's due. Perfect example of that. Apparently, Joe Biden has reached out to the family of the man who was killed at the rally Saturday, Corey Compatore, and let them know, look, I would love to talk to you, but only if it's right for you. If it is, let me know. I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
That is a presidential move.
Agree.
We don't give credit when the rare good thing happens. And as a result, I think that helps build up this problem that we have. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I'd like to see is maybe some mea culpas on both sides, and perhaps some apologies. And sometimes you do that even if you think in your heart you didn't do anything wrong, just to try to patch things up and to bring things back to sanity. Gosh, I hope we can do that. I mean, if you just compare the policies side by side, I could make the argument, I believe, effectively, that Mr. Trump's policies had the country in a better place. But I hope we do that. I hope we focus on that. And I believe we're going to see Mr. Trump do that. We desperately need a leader who can cut through all that fiery rhetoric and bring us back to some degree of civility. Our country can't survive like that. And you think about just
Gerard, hold on. We're up against the break. Can you hang on for just a minute?
Yep, gotcha.
All right, Gerard Gibert. Mention Gerard Gibert, and I got to ask you, Gerard, as we come back, just very quickly, I got to get you on record for the betting pool. Who do you think President Trump is going to choose for his vice presidential nominee?
Dave, my money's on Doug Burgum.
I knew you were going to say that. I know you're a Doug Burgum fan, and personally, this is me. I was talking about this just yesterday with my wife, actually. That to me, he kind of moved up to one of the leading candidates once we had what happened Saturday, and we're wanting to move to more of a unity approach with him rewriting his speech and everything. I know a lot of people are saying J.D. Vance, but J.D. Vance is he kind of has a pre-assassination attempt approach. Would that be a fair way to say it, you think?
Yeah, it would be. I think in terms of who's best suited to be president next, because whoever is picked as his VP is, of course, going to be in the driver's seat for that. And I think that J.D. Burgum is the best bet on that basis.
Well, and he is strong.
I should say Doug Burgum, pardon me.
I was just going to ignore it, Gerard. You're busy, man. You got a lot going on. The thing is that it also speaks to what you were talking about right before we went to the break. Burgum is not about personality politics. He is focused on policy.
Totally. And, he comes from a state that is big-time oil and gas. A big energy state. I think that's key to Trump's policy agenda. You probably tell, you hear the noise in the background. I'm walking to the shuttle, to the bus. I apologize for that. They have asked us to get our tails in the seats, like I said earlier, a little ahead of schedule, and that's what I'm doing. So I think that he brings kind of a calm temperament and demeanor. He doesn't have a record of ever really attacking Trump. And I don't think he's a guy that would sort of overshadow Trump. I think that's important to the former president. I just think he's got the total package.
Well, and I think in my mind, he kind of jumped to the front of that line of 3 or 4 people that have been mentioned. I say 3 or 4 because all of a sudden Tim Scott resurfaced in that conversation over the last week or so. But yeah. I think Burgum is probably the one that most matches where we seem to be headed with this in terms of the attitude of the leader of the party.
Yeah, Mr. Trump, of course, a business person, did us well as president. I think will do the same as the next president. And Mr. Burgum comes from a similar background, and I like that. The shuttle right here. Oh yeah, I think so. I'm sorry, Dave.
Oh no, this is fantastic. This is live on the ground coverage of the day-to-day action of the folks attending the convention. This is super. I do have a question from the C Spire text line that I think is very relevant. Everyone's going to want to know the answer to this. Do you have a giant foam finger?
Wait, say that again?
Do you have a giant foam finger to put on your hand and hold it? What are you doing, man? Come on.
Yeah, I left that at home, doggone it. I should have brought that. That's a great idea, though. I love it.
Yeah, somebody around there has got to have one. Just says Trump #1 or something, and you put it on your hand and you wave it up in the air. It will be perfect.
I like it. I like it.
The C Spire text line. They always get right to the heart of the most important parts of the conversation here. Now, somebody on the C Spire text line, somebody else, said that they had heard reports of increased Secret Service protection at J.D. Vance's residence. I think they may be doing that with all of the potential candidates right now, aren't they?
suspect that's the case. I actually saw Mr. Vance in the airport in the baggage claim yesterday, and he was flanked by a couple of security people. I don't know if that means anything or not. I actually was on the plane on the flight up with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. She didn't have anybody with her except in the Jackson airport. And that security person actually asked me to accompany her on the plane early just to kind of escort her on, and he got her on and me on, and we happened to be in the same row, interestingly enough. So, but there was no security waiting for her in the airport in Atlanta, for example. So I'm not really sure how all that works, I guess, is the bottom line.
Yeah, and let me just say the Atlanta airport, it's been a while since I've flown through it, but I would best describe it as a nightmare on a good day. So that's where you'd want some security, I would think.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Well, so, I'm not sure if these folks, maybe if you have to schedule it or if it's just automatic. I honestly don't know. I also saw Senator Kramer, I believe he's from North Dakota, if I'm not mistaken. I saw him walking at the welcome event last night. He did not have any security with him, but I recognize him because I see him on the Business Channel quite a bit.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure how all that works.
Yeah, that is very interesting. What do you think? And I'm seeing some people that are speculating that maybe all of a sudden from out of nowhere, Nikki Haley could be the vice presidential nominee because she went from before Saturday having it confirmed she was not invited to speak, and now suddenly she's speaking tomorrow night.
Yes, and that was a topic of discussion at breakfast this morning, and some of the lady delegates feel like that she would be a boost to the ticket to attract the female vote.
Well, that's a very good point, and it would also speak after the contentious primary season that we had. That would underline the whole concept of unity and everybody coming together.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I don't remember the last time we had this much mystery and discussion over the vice presidential nominee.
I agree, and hopefully it will all be resolved later on today. Isn't that what Brett Baer said, later today?
Right. Brett Baer said a little bit later today, which could mean anywhere from right as you're walking in the door until midnight. We don't know, but neither does he, right. Really. It is very much up to former President Trump. It's going to be an exciting week. I am extremely jealous of you being up there, you jerk, and you didn't even take a foam finger.
No finger. I got to remember that if I ever get to come again. That's awesome.
Just somebody, if you would, if you're headed that way and you run into Gerard, give him the finger.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to help you out, man. That's the best I can
got
do.
You.
You be safe, first and foremost, okay?
Yeah, man.
That whole phrase has taken on a different meaning after Saturday. So
No doubt.
You be safe. You enjoy participating in our process, and it's fantastic that you're there. And I would tell you to have a wonderful time. I don't have to do that. You're going to have a wonderful time, man.
I think so. I am so proud, so privileged to represent the great state of Mississippi. Miss you guys, and I think we're going to talk to you later on this week. But appreciate the well wishes there, Dave. You guys have a great week, and we'll be back in touch with you.
Go get in your bus seat, man. He's
there you go, man.
Climbing on the shuttle while he's talking to us. It's a busy week up there. You got to do what you got to do, man. That's fantastic. That's right. You have fun. Represent us well, sir.
You've got it. We'll see y'all later.
It's Gerard Gibert live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right in the middle of the action, fingerless. They should have training for that kind.